What's up, everybody? My name is Steven Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Media Company. Thank you all so much for tuning in on this Thursday, guys. We're here to talk about interior defensive linemen, otherwise known as the big uglies that get things done, right? Before we get into that, guys, I want to take a time and I want to thank today's sponsor. You can see that I'm wearing Ultra Games hoodie. Thank you guys so much for sending me this hoodie for free. Let me just get this kind of business stuff out of the way, guys, and let's talk, man, because you guys know this conversation's heading towards Fletcher Cox, so just get ready for that conversation. But thank you, Ultra Game. Oh, snap. This is nice, man. Let's see how it fits, y'all. I got to be honest. Hey, man. I really like this hoodie. I'm not going to lie. Thank you so much, Ultra Game. If you guys would like to actually pick up this hoodie, I'm going to link Ultra Game's entire Amazon account down below. That way you can go on and look at their entire offerings that they have there. They got everything from the Eagles to the Sixers. This is a great company. They give really, really affordable prices on merchandise like this, guys, and they do a great job designing this stuff. So I can't recommend them enough. All right, y'all. Thank you once again, Ultra Game. All right, guys, today's topic. So we're talking about the interior defensive lineman. And I probably should note, guys, in order to enter the drawing, my bad, guys. I'm not always the best at this stuff, guys. In order to enter the drawing, go to yesterday's video, the video where I was saying goodbye to Brandon Brooks. Watch that video, leave your comment down below, and make sure you sub up Ultra Game. Make sure you sub up Gate City Sports, and then you leave that comment and a like on the video, guys, all right? That's how you get enrolled for it, all right, guys? It's a free Sixers t-shirt they're giving away, guys. All right, y'all, so Fletcher Cox, right? You always have to be careful when you're talking about a guy like Fletcher Cox because the dude's an all-time Eagles great, and I don't want to sit here on a live stream and act like I don't, wasn't a fan of this guy. I was a huge fan of Fletcher Cox for many years. I thought that he was probably definitely one of the 2 or 3 best defensive tackles, that I kind of watched over a 10-year period of time. But I don't think I'm the only one here who feels like that's not the same guy that we're seeing anymore. And it's not that Fletcher Cox is still not good. I think that people misinterpret the conversation when you talk about Fletcher Cox. Like, people think that if you're not like saying that this dude's a top 5 defensive tackle still, that you think that he's complete and utter trash. And I don't think that's true. But let's be real, guys. Come on, man. I'm a huge Fletcher Cox fan. I know many of you guys are. But let's be real, man. 3 or 4 years ago, if you put Fletch one-on-one with a guard, come on, bro. He was taking somebody's lunch money. There was no way you were going to sit there and try to block that man one-on-one. He was going to simply destroy your entire game plan. He had those opportunities. I mean, I know early on in the season they were basically moving that double team over towards, Fletcher Cox, and then later on they went towards Javon Hargrave. I think the problem we're having now is that Javon Hargrave gives you some ability to play the nose. He can play nose for you, but he gives you that really elite level pass rush in a one gap kind of 3 technique position. And you got Milton Williams, who gives you inside outside versatility as a 3 and a 5 technique, who's a really, really dynamic, that what they call the get off, right? Just a fast initial release from the snap. He's got a really good first pass rush move, if you will. I don't know what you do here, right? Because Hassan Ridgeway gives you the ability to have another guy that you can play as the nose. He gives you, another body that you can play as a 3 technique. He can definitely play a 4-eye if you want him to, 2-eye, 4-eye, those little subtleties that you can have along the line. But with that said, I do feel like, Hassan Ridgeway is a free agent. Fletcher Cox does have a big contract, guys. I'm not going to sit here and say that you can't move on from Fletcher Cox, but you're going to incur a ton of dead money if you attempt to move on from Fletcher Cox. They were willing at some point, if the right offer came in, to move on from Fletcher Cox. That part cannot be denied. Fletcher in the organization they said that was definitely something they talked about during the trade deadline. Now, my understanding is from what I've heard reported from like Jeff Mosher and guys like that is that there must have been, and they don't know this to be factual, they're just assuming here, but there must have been some kind of an agreement that if he was not moved at the trade deadline, that it would be very unlikely that he's moved during the offseason. With that said, unlikely is not guaranteed. You guys get what I'm saying? I still think you sit in this situation with Fletcher Cox where if you've got a team that is ready to compete, comes out of these playoffs and feels like if we could have held up on the interior defensive line, we could have done something. There's a conversation to be had here, right? There's absolutely a conversation to be had here. And I don't know the free agency market, guys. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is probably the least of the prepared free agency market things that I've done so far, just because I've been looking at college film. And interior defensive lineman was a little iffy because the only guy that when I started the film studies on these guys, mind you, think about the quantity of people I'm breaking film down on, guys. It's really hard to track all this stuff in terms of if they're declaring or not. I'm going off of the assumption. The only person I know that declared was Devontae Wyatt in terms of the underclassmen that I know for a fact declared. He's the only one I know of that factually I know he declared for the draft. So I really don't know the free agency market that well. I know Hassan Ridgeway can probably shore up some things for the Eagles if we can strike a deal to bring him back again. But the question really does become, if it's not this year, it's on the horizon with Fletcher Cox. I don't think that part of things can be denied. I think I know it. I think you guys know it. I think we all know that Fletcher Cox's time here is kind of coming to an end. And this is not taking shots at a guy that I was a huge fan of, man. I'm a fanboy. Wear a Fletcher Cox jersey the whole 9 yards. He's my guy. Like, he really was. But football's a business, man. It's not the side of football that I enjoy the most, but it is what it is, man. We all know this, that one day, eventually your number gets called, man. That time comes. You're not the same player you once were. Your contract starts to basically become more so than the value you can provide on the field, and then you get in that weird kind of troublesome area. And I think, to be fair to interior linemen and interior defensive linemen, offensive linemen and defensive linemen, they get a bad rap because, like, the wear and tear that they put on their bodies is different. We all just watched Brandon Brooks hang it up yesterday in a press conference. And, I mean, he talked about that. Like, at some point, your body starts screaming at you, right? Fletch has played a lot of snaps, guys. Let's not get it twisted, man. I know that at times we really dogged Fletch for seemingly. I'm not going to say he did, guys, because I don't have the insight for that. But seemingly, it looked like he took plays off here and there. We dog him for that. But when you look at his snap counts, it's kind of yeah, no kidding, man. Like, this dude played a lot of football, man. Like, he was always on the field for the Eagles. As some of you guys are insinuating down below, man, like, Father Time's undefeated. Father Time beats everybody. It just does. And I'm going to be honest, man. I would not be shocked, and this is not a hot take because I'm not declaring this is happening, but I would not be shocked if Fletcher Cox is moved on from either this year, but certainly by next year. I definitely think that that's on the horizon, and I think when an event like that is on the horizon, you got to watch for the draft because the Eagles are not going to play around with their defensive line. That is the one thing I will give Howie Roseman credit for, and that scouting department, analytics department, and coaching staff credit for. And I know, guys, this coaching staff, we don't know too much about them, but traditionally they don't play around there. They don't play around with the offensive line. They don't play around with the defensive line. You ain't going to catch them slipping a couple of times there, guys. They don't play around. They're not going to repeat too many mistakes in those terms. They'll keep adding until they get it right. So I guess what I'll ask you guys as we open this conversation up today, what are your thoughts on Fletcher Cox? And we'll get into the draft prospects. So I'm going to go into the comments a little faster today than I normally do. Like, what's your thoughts on Fletcher Cox, guys? Go take the time if you haven't had a chance yet. Go look up the contract. Go to Over the Cap and look up Fletcher Cox's contract. And you can see the dead money that's there. There's some things you can finagle, like, putting a June 1st designation on something and then gaining yourself some leverage back. But to be honest, it's a ton of dead money. It is a ton of dead money. And I do think that if you can't trade the guy and get a real good value in the draft, you kind of have to keep him on this roster, at least for this year. And, maybe the answer is that Milton Williams takes more snaps from Fletcher Cox. It's not that Fletch is completely removed from your defense, but, Milton Williams will be in his second year, spend a third-round pick on this guy. And, Milton Williams, I still think's got some development in run defense, but we saw what he can do in terms of being a pass rusher. I mean, if you can really put teams into some down and distances that are tough, Milton Williams can pin his ears back and go get the quarterback. I mean, that part we know about his game. Javon Hargrave is really good at that aspect of the game of pinning his ear back and going to get in the quarterback. I think the most important thing we have to do is we got to be good enough up front to stop teams from just simply doubling up on, Javon Hargrave. We can't waste this guy's career because Javon Hargrave is incredibly talented. You can't waste him. And I know it's not fair because, yeah, Gabe, where were you at when this happened to Fletch? I was saying this stuff too, guys. And to be fair to the Eagles, they did try desperately to fix that problem with Fletcher Cox. They brought in a ton of dudes to bring pressure off of Fletcher Cox. Just go back and really think about it. How many guys they brought in over the last 4 or 5 years, like Malik Jackson, all these dudes to try to take the pressure off of them. But, for Fletcher's sake, unfortunately, it never really worked out. But let's get to some comments, guys, and then we're going to talk about the draft class. What's up, Blaze Tally? How are you doing, buddy, man? What's up, Antonio Holmes? How are you, sir? Jamal Marshall, what's good, man? How are you? You know, it's funny, Jamal, is that you won't know it from my last name because my last name's Hyder, but I was raised by Marshalls. As funny as that is. My father-in-law, or not my father, I apologize, my stepfather. Let me say that right. My father. His name is Jerry Marshall. My older brother is Jerry Marshall. So we got something in common here, Jamal. Scooby-Doo, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? Yo, you know it's time for coffee time. Let me show you something, guys. On the topic of coffee time, look what came in yesterday. Got that official Gate City Sports Channel coffee mug, man. Really good print on this. I was shocked at how well they did the print on it. Better than I thought. I had a water bottle, too, that I was going to show you guys, but my niece stole the water bottle this morning, so I ain't getting that back. What's up, Show Enough? How you doing, buddy? Scooby-Doo said, that's why I'm big on Jordan Davis. So we're going to get into this, and Jordan Davis is definitely kind of a nose type. You know, he can play the 3-tech, he can play the nose. He's a big space eater. He's a big guy. Jordan Davis is a young man that I know very well because he played out here by Charlotte, North Carolina, his high school ball. So I definitely know a lot of them. Hope Texans hire Gannon. What's up, Big Moose? How you doing, buddy? Antonio Holmes said Leal. Leal's definitely kind of more so in that. I would argue Leal's in the body frame and the things that he can do of like a Milton Williams. They're very similar in what they can do on the football field. Big Moose said that Sixers hoodie is fire, fam. Hey, it is a nice hoodie, man. I really do appreciate them sending it to me. Guys, all this stuff is linked down below if you want the hoodie, guys. I linked it down below to go to their website. And they really are affordable, guys. That's why I like them a lot. They're not like ridiculously priced. Chaos to Filthy. I want Jordan Davis. I'm starting to sense a theme here, guys, about Jordan Davis. Mad Hatter coming in with the Father Time is undefeated, Gate City. Yeah, you're right. You're right, it is. And it's unfortunate because, you know, let's be honest, guys. So Mad Hatter, while we're on this conversation, let's be honest. If the Eagles have struggled with one thing from our front office, right, we can nitpick them to death about draft picks and stuff. But we know every organization misses on draft picks. What I think is probably the more damaging thing is that we've had times where we have held on to guys just a little too long. So where we know that we should have let them go a year or so before we did. And we didn't follow that Bill Belichick model of let a guy go a year too early than a year too late. And I think we're approaching that nasty little situation right now. And let's be honest, some of the ways that we've structured the contracts make it hard for this to happen, to even let them go a year too early. That's part of the problem of kicking the can down the road. You're chasing a Super Bowl window, and you're doing that by restructuring guys' contract to get other dudes on their contract, but eventually all that money, you know, it all comes due eventually. You got to pay it eventually. Big Moose said Roddy McLeod and Fletcher Cox both washed. I thought Roddy McLeod came back, Big Moose, honestly, pretty well. I thought he fared pretty well in coverage later in the season. When you really look at his man coverage grades, McLeod played well, but he's over 30 and he's got 2 ACLs. So I definitely agree with you, Big Moose, in the terms of you got to be real careful, the guy over 30 with 2 ACLs. Because when it drops off, it's probably going to drop off very suddenly. Antonio Holmes with the Leal. Big Moose said, how will Brandon Graham look after the Achilles? Will be a big question for our pass rush. If he's not the same, he's got to take a back seat to who we bring in. Who are we bringing in? Yeah, I mean, it's a big conversation, Big Moose. I don't know how to even shape that conversation just because of the complexity of it, to be quite honest. I can't predict how he's going to look. I mean, there's certainly reason to be suspicious, right? To say, you know, we really don't know how he's going to look coming back from this stuff. We really don't know how he's going to perform. We don't know how he's going to play. All that is 100% true. But, you know, and I know we just talked about holding on to dudes too long. It's hard for me, even in saying that, to give up Brandon Graham. It really is, man. I feel like if anyone can beat the odds, it's Brandon Graham. What's up, Ted? How you doing, buddy? Said, good morning, coach. Seems like all those cans kicked down the road are now piling up. As a fan of 45 years, I resent this one ace in the hole Howie Roseman uses constant. To be fair, though, Ted, you know, if we really analyze it, and I get what you're saying, I don't know that Howie would have got caught the way he got caught if we didn't have the issue with the league revenue, right? Because of what happened with the C-19 stuff, it affected league revenue. And that's what you're banking on, is that with the TV contracts and stuff going up, you're always going to be able to outpace it. You know what I mean? But I will say, Ted, where I think you can get into a really nuanced argument here about the situation is to say it's not so much that he kicked the can down the road on contracts. He kicked the can down the road on some of these guys' contracts after giving them big contracts, and then those guys never really physically held up. So we wasted the money, we backloaded the contracts, and we didn't get production from the guys. So I think there's definitely some kind of nuance to that, to be honest. Antonio said, I love Fletcher Cox. Me too, man. Like, Fletcher's just one of those dudes, man. It's hard to, like I said, I want to toe a very fine line here because Fletcher's one of those dudes, man. He's one of my favorites. What's up, Bobby? How you doing, buddy? He said Cox was almost traded before the trade deadline this season, but they couldn't come to a deal. I think he's gone this season. I think it's a possibility if the offer is out there. I think if the offer comes out there and it's some kind of a day 2 pick, probably third rounder type valuation, I would even say if they get a 4th round, day 3, early day 3, like a 4th rounder, I could see it. I could see them moving on. Got to move on from Fletch after the 22 season. I agree. That's probably the one that I think most of us would agree that if it doesn't happen this year, it's certainly going to happen by the end of this year, going into the 23 season. Eagle Slayer said, I just can't wait for Barnett to be cut. He's not technically cut, though, Eagle Slayer. I get what you're saying. You can't wait to be finally rid of the issue, but technically his contract's just going to run out. I don't know if they're going to bring him back. I'm trying to caution people, Eagle Slayer. I mean, I'm not predicting it's going to happen, but, you know, what I think could happen is they let him test the open market. Him and his agent figure out there's not a lot of value in a guy that only produced 2 or 3 sacks and didn't have the same production from pressures that he once had before. And he might be forced to either find a team that'll give him a 1-year trial deal or return to Philly on a 1-year trial deal. I mean, you know, kind of that prove it kind of contract. I am a little careful with that because I do realize that you got to be careful. You know, it can come back to where we don't want it. Big Moose said Cox can't even beat 1-on-1s anymore. He's cooked. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't there anymore. You know, because there was a time you would never put a 1-on-1 on Fletcher Cox. He would destroy you. He would absolutely destroy you if you did it. And just this year, at the end of the year, when he started getting those 1-on-1s, and it was like, you know, he's telling us he's the healthiest he's ever been because of the way that, you know, this coaching staff prepared for the season. And it's like, cool, but where's the production, man? Like, give us the production then. Like, you're getting 1-on-1s. Beat these 1-on-1s, dude. You got to eat. Matt Hatter said, I'd move to defensive end. I would move Cox to defensive end. My bad, guys. He got good push on the outside. I mean, they'll probably – I don't know if he's going to be back or not, guys. But if he is back, and I do think there's a real possibility he's still here in 22, they might do some things where they move him around. During the offseason, I thought we would see a lot more of that. I even made a video where I talked about that there could be a possibility they play Fletch at the 0 tech, a 2-eye, a 3, a 5, you know, kind of a Where's Waldo. And then that way you can't cue in on Fletch. The problem is they did what I said. He just didn't beat 1-on-1 matchups. Bobby Murphy said, give me Jordan Davis, see you, Fletch. Red Eagle said, what up, Gay City? How do you feel about our young defensive tackles, Marvin and Marlon Tuipulotu, stepping up next year? I was really high on Marlon Tuipulotu's college film, Red Eagle, but he burnt me. Kind of burnt me this year because he just wasn't that kind of guy, you know, once we got into season. I don't know what to make of Tuipulotu. He is a nose, to be honest, Red Eagle. That's what he is from college. He's a nose. Played a lot of 0 and 1 tech, 0 shade, 1 tech, that kind of stuff. Had a really good hand fight. He was really good at hand fighting in college. But Jalen Williams, who's, you know, a guy that studies the line far more than I do, you know, he did tell me when we were talking, he said, you know, there are times he's whiffing on that hand move, though. When he whiffs, it's all over. He can't get a push on the line, and that's concerning. And he was right. He did seem to be a little I don't want to call it professional athlete weak. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a ridiculous statement. But in comparison to, like, nose tackles that truly get, you know, a push, it wasn't there, right? The strength wasn't there. Big Moose said, I like the Marvin Leal if we can get him at defensive tackle. Very similar, I would say, to a little better of a run defender than Milton Williams, but very similar to where he's got that initial pass rush is very impressive. Very good get off the line type of guy. His get off is very good. What's up, Saison? How you doing, buddy? Cree said, "What's good, everybody? How you doing, man?" Blaze said, "Family members like to take stuff without asking." Yeah, man, my niece snatched that real quick, man. Quarterback coach from Green Bay locking up that Broncos head coaching job. We should hear something about Gannon soon. Interesting. Definitely interesting, guys. Brady on the GOAT. LeBron beat him. Brady and the GOAT. LeBron beat him. Got you. Jake, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? He said, "What's up, Gate? If Gannon wants to be a head coach, why stick with him if he doesn't get a position? We really gonna draft his defensive philosophy when he's gonna be gone the first chance he gets?" I mean, Jake, you can't really stop a guy from seeking head coaching jobs. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't guarantee the next guy you bring in won't get those opportunities. Like, if anything, you can somewhat feel confident that he must have the mind and the leadership abilities to think there's something there. It's just a matter of, can this dude fine tune the scheme and some subtleties? Like, I'm not saying we got to be blitz dominant. I think Jim Johnson would get eaten alive in today's NFL. I'm not going to lie, guys. I like Jim Johnson. He's an all-time Eagles great. He's on hollowed ground. Let's be real. Aaron Rodgers would pick him apart in today's game. With that said, I don't know that the answers are just out there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's difficult to just say, go get this coordinator and plug them in. Like, I think sometimes circumstance and players matter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that Gannon had the right players, because if I'm being fair, Jake, I hated the system. I'm not a fan of that passive way that he plays with the corners. It's the corners in particular. I'm not a fan of the way he plays them. But at the same time, I'll also admit, if dudes just did their job and made tackles, we would have stopped teams to 3-yard gains, 4-yard gains, instead of them easily getting 6 or 7 yards every single time. And that's kind of the struggle with Jonathan Gannon and trying to rate him, is that he's too passive for a lot of our likings. I definitely think he's smart. I've heard the young man talk about football. I think he's very, very brilliant. I think he's very intelligent. There's clearly some leadership ability there. He's clearly amendable to his players, right? Like, he'll bend to, like, okay, my players, this is the feedback they're giving me. I've got to work with them. And they said that right from camp about Jonathan Gannon, that, there were some times in camp he made mistakes, and he fessed up to the team. Like, this isn't a player issue. This is a coaching issue. We made a mistake from the coaching staff standpoint. So, I mean, it's tough to judge that, because, Jake, the thing I'll caution people, hey, man, this town ran out a really good defensive coordinator who's now the head coach of Buffalo. You know what I mean? We got to be careful with that stuff. Cree said, if we decided to try and unload Fletch, what kind of hog could we get back? I don't think you're going to get the same thing that you would have gotten once upon a time, to be honest, Cree. I just don't. There's no disrespect to Fletch, man. He's still a good player, but Fletch, there was a time, if you'd have traded him 5-6 years ago, I mean, you're talking first-round pick. But I don't think you're in that conversation anymore. I think the Eagles are looking for a third. They probably take a fourth, and I think the rest of the league wants to give a fifth. I think that's what's going on, personally. You might have to find creative ways of getting rid of them, like a way of saving face. Give us a pick and a player, and we'll give you that kind of ordeal where you can save face. Can't wait to see who you went out of the draft gate. Hey, it's coming up, guys. By the way, I'm also a big Jordan Davis fan. We could get that edge rusher and Jermaine Johnson from FSU. I like Jermaine Johnson, but I think his value is starting to climb. We'll see, though. I mean, still got the Senior Bowl, still got pro days. There's a lot, there's a lot still going on to place these guys yet. Reggie White was 39 when he retired, and he had 6.5 sacks that year. I hear you, Mad Hatter, but if you go into every conversation expecting a guy to be Reggie White, it's probably not going to work out too well. And also, he did play on the outside. You know what I mean? We're talking about interior guys. Interior guys take a little bit more beating. The later rounds, yeah, Stuart, I'm going to go over a couple of guys. I like the Marvin Leal and Devontae Wyatt. Yeah, Devontae Wyatt's kind of impressive, too. I like him a lot. All right, guys, so I can see that we're definitely kind of getting into the aspects of the college game. So let's just go ahead. We're at the almost 25-minute mark. So let's go ahead and talk about a few guys, because I only really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 dudes to talk about. And to be honest with you guys, one of those guys I'm not even sure if we can really say is a defensive tackle. We'll see what happens in the league. I think he's more of a 34 guy. I don't think he's a 43 interior D lineman, but we'll see, guys. All right, the first guy to talk about is DeMarvin Leal. If you guys remember, early in the process, DeMarvin Leal sounded like a lock in the top 10. Like, dudes were talking top 5 for DeMarvin Leal, right? I mean, that guy seemed like the big to-do here, right? 6'4", 290. This guy is very gifted. I mean, if you go watch his film, especially his film from last season, you can see how he can take a game over. He is just a gifted football player. The problem is the development didn't occur this year. And here's the problem with development. Is it the player? Is it the coaching staff? Is it some kind of a weird mixture of both? Normally, the truth lies in the middle, and it's a mixture of both, right? The problem is that his ratings went down from both pass rush and run defense. And that's not a place you ever want to be in, right? You don't want to have your numbers going down when you're already considered a top 10 pick and arguably a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Now we're seeing mock drafts where DeMarvin Leal could potentially, mind you guys, I have no clue. Neither of these guys that are making these things, they have no clue either. I have no clue yet where he's going to be. He hasn't tested yet. We have not seen this guy's numbers. He might have had a drop in production, but if this dude goes out there and puts up crazy numbers, and if he dominates the Senior Bowl, nobody's going to care. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to look past that production issue in 21, and the guy's going to climb right back up again. So I don't know where the value will be, but right now it is trending towards like something might happen here. Like you might see him maybe sliding down the boards further than people thought. Mind you, perception can change as quick as anything in the world. Now, Texas A&M, you're playing in the SEC. I think when you're trying to judge film and you're looking at offensive linemen, defensive linemen, receivers, and corners in particular, I really love the SEC because the SEC makes it very easy to grade guys because you know the quality competition they're facing. So at least from DeMarvin Leal's perspective, you're not worried about the competition he played. And I do think that he's a very good football player. I'm just going to be honest, guys. I think that he's a very gifted player, to be honest. The consistency is going to be the question. All right, let's talk. Jordan Davis. I've known Jordan Davis since he was a very young man. He played locally out here by Charlotte. Big boy. This is a big guy. Big guy. Probably, I don't even have the numbers in front of me. I'm just going to tell you what I think, just based upon me seeing him as a young junior in high school. I'm going to say 6'2", 6'3". He might be taller than that, to be real with you. And he's every bit of 330 pounds. He's a big guy, man. I'm not joking. This is a big kid. I'm saying kid, guys, because understand, I've known this young man since he was like 16. That's the first time I met him. It's the first time I ever scouted him. He's talented. There's definitely an athleticism. There's athletic ability to him. Now, I will say the numbers are not going to jump off the chart. If you go in there and you're looking at these surface level numbers like sacks and stuff like that, you could quickly lose confidence in a guy like Jordan Davis. But the honest truth is that the type of athlete he is really hard to find. I'll tell you who he reminds me of. You guys aren't going to like this comp, but just stick with me because the comp is not meant to talk about their physical abilities. I'm talking about their physical nature of who they are as players. You guys remember Anthony Rush? We had him here 1 year as a nose tackle, went on to Oakland before they moved to Las Vegas. Anthony Rush played football out at Cary High School in North Carolina. The dude was a tight end at his size. The guy was as gifted of an athlete as I've ever watched. If it wasn't from some academic issues, this guy would have had a major D1 scholarship. He ended up having to go into the transfer portal route and go to like a community college or junior college because of his grades. This guy is a better athlete than Anthony Rush. And Anthony Rush was already a tremendous athlete. So Jordan Davis, big dude. This is a crazy big nose, guys. His overall defensive grade was an 89.7. Him and Devontae Wyatt, the two Georgia guys, both of the, ironically, they both had 89.7 grades. So it's a little interesting. Devontae Wyatt, let's just transition. Let's talk Devontae Wyatt. Super good get off the football, man. Twitchy, fast. I noticed that. I'm like, oh, like this he's a little different from Jordan Davis. Like there's a little bit more of a get off to what he does here. I don't know, like trying to grade these guys and say if they can play the nose, they can play a zero shade or a one technique. I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough yet, guys. I'm still developing and looking at film here to say that. But what I can say is as a 3 technique, he can work in the NFL. Really good hand placement, Haven't really had a chance to, like, I know guys don't think about this, but when you're talking about interior defensive linemen, you got to pay attention to hip placement, because what people don't realize is your hip placement has all to do with leverage. It's a very big part of your leverage. And not gaining proper leverage on the interior defensive line or interior offensive line, that's a big, big problem. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet, guys. I'll let you know if I see any kind of weird disparity there. But I can tell you that the thing that really stands out with, anyone can just go watch film and you'll immediately notice it. He's fast off the snap. He's definitely got that, kind of get off there, where I would say Jordan Davis is just a physically imposing player. Devontae West is definitely kind of a twitchy, fast player on the interior. The guy that's a little bit of I don't know how to place him, right? It's a question mark. I don't know what to think of him. I don't know what to make of him. Is Logan Hall from Houston. I'm not sold that this dude is necessarily like a defensive tackle. He's light. And when I say light, I don't mean like Milton Williams light. I mean lighter than that. He's tall, man. He's 6'6", 260, 265-ish. He's not a big dude. He played 3-tech at Houston. I don't know that's going to work out for him in the NFL. I definitely think he's a weird guy. He's got a 78 run grade, which is not bad, especially when you're talking about a 6'6", 260-pound guy on the interior. To have a 78 run grade means he's tough. Physically, the dude's tough. I do worry about you being a little underweight and you got a tall frame and you're playing on the interior where pad level and hip placement is everything. That concerns me. But I could see him in a 34 as a 5-tech. He could wreak havoc on guys. I could see that. I don't know what they're going to do there. He might be one of these guys that they just add to the frame. I would probably say that if he can't play 5-tech, this might be a guy that maybe slips further in the draft than people are projecting right now. Right now, he's kind of got a second, third round grade on him. I don't think it's going to work that way with him trying to play 3 technique at his exact size right now. I don't think that's going to work out, guys, to be honest. But he's got an opportunity to show us a little bit at the Senior Bowl, if you will. All right, next guy on this list. Let's go back and let's talk nose tackles. We know we wanted a nose tackle. We wanted the guy at NC State last year. Go Pack. All right. We missed on that. We took Milton Williams. We got the 3 technique. We got that Malik Jackson-like type player that can play inside, outside, right? With that said, we got question marks, right? We are technically using Javon Hargrave from time to time as a nose. And to be fair, Javon Hargrave played a ton of nose inside of Pittsburgh's system when he was there. So it's not like he's, not aware of how to do this. Hassan Ridgeway gives you definitely a viable backup option. Hassan Ridgeway is a good nose. He's not spectacular, guys, but I think he's better than a lot of backups in the league at his position grouping. So what I want to talk about is a conference you got to be a little careful about. So we're going to talk about Travis Jones in UConn, right? Another one of these physically imposing guys, 6'5", 330-some pounds, guys. Big dude. He's very much a zero shade or a 1-tech 2-eye nose, but there is some utility to what he does. This guy had 25 pressures on the year and 21 run stops. He found work, guys. This dude found work. And I'm telling you, if you had a target on Jordan Davis and it didn't work out, you couldn't get Jordan Davis. He went higher than you thought, right? Or you just couldn't get in position to get the young man. The other guy that I could look to is if I'm an organization, if I'm a team, and I want to get a guy that I want to develop, and I want a space eater. I want a dude that eats space and can really knock a smaller center off his mark. I'm going to look at Travis Jones from UConn. Young man can play. He's a really good football player, guys. I'm not going to lie. Now, you got to worry about the level of competition, and I get it. But if we're gonna make that accusation, then we also got to talk about Cincinnati in that terminology too. You know what I mean? But I definitely get it from UConn's perspective that they don't always play the best competition, and it could be fool's gold to say like, yeah, you got 25 pressures. Look who you played. Yeah, you got 21 run stops, but you beat the competition that's in front of you, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it. Is like you always keep that in the back of your mind. You make sure you're letting everybody know, but at the same time, like you can only beat the competition that's in front of you, and he dominated it. Same argument with Milton Williams, right? Milton Williams did not play the greatest competition last year. And when he played the BYUs and the Marshalls, really good lines, he got beat a little bit. We still saw that the underlying athleticism took over in the NFL when he got there. It took him half the year for it to click. But when it clicked big time as a pass rusher, didn't it, guys? All right, the last one I'm going to talk about is Perrion Winfrey from Oklahoma. Another one of these guys with really good get-offs. So Winfrey and Devontae Wyatt, DeMarvin Leal, these dudes all got really, really good initial, releases off the line here. I will say that I feel more comfortable with Devontae Wyatt and DeMarvin Leal in run support than I do with Perrion Winfrey. Perrion Winfrey, was getting washed out of holes. I'm not going to lie. Really good pass rusher. Not sold on his ability to play inside the running game. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, when people got pad level on him, he got moved. Perrion Winfrey got moved big time. That's what stood out to me on his film. Really, but look, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a pass rush, he's your guy. Looking for a pass rush, he's your guy. No doubt about it, guys. All right, let's talk a little bit, guys. Eagles Uncensored, what's up, buddy? Say, what's good, Gates? How are you, man? Not sure how you feel about it, but I'm strongly pushing for Jordan Davis. I get he doesn't get a lot of sacks, but the pressure he will cause makes up for that. Well, if you're getting Jordan Davis, you're not necessarily getting him for the pressure. You're getting him to hold the nose. You're getting him to create that havoc on the interior like that. And he's a very good athlete, so you might be able to develop that into him. Eagle Slayer said, definitely agree. Marky Mack, what's good, buddy? He says, do you think Fletch wasn't able to beat one-on-ones because he's washed, or do you think he can still play at a high level with limited snaps? I think that's what kind of this year could show you, right? Marky Mack is that side of the argument, which is if you take snaps off of him and don't overutilize him in this state in his career and give him those same one-on-one matchups, he's going to win. That's what this year would show you. I can't really answer that, Marky Mack. I don't know. I still think somewhere deep down inside of Fletch is that dog. Just got to see it come out because he's going to make some money, man. And Fletch got him a young tender. What's up, Michael? He said, I hope we stay far away from Davis. He has a worse gas tank than Fletch. Terrence Cody all over again. I don't think he's that, Michael. I've known Jordan since his junior year of high school. He's a better athlete than people think. And I don't think it's fair to question Fletch's gas tank, man, because Fletch played more snaps than most people know. That dude was always on the field for us. Of course, you're going to start running on empty if you're being overutilized. That's really on coaching and Jim Schwartz to be real about it. You got to make sure that you're switching guys up, man. You got to make sure you're keeping them fresh. What's up, Sam? How you doing, buddy? He says, dang, I missed the beginning. Found out about 2 minutes before you went live. Denver is trying to hire Hackett. Yeah, somebody else was talking about that earlier. Cox needs to go on that Brady diet. Scooby-Doo said, if we did get Jordan Davis, how do you feel about putting Milton Williams at end? I said from the beginning I thought Milton Williams was a 5 technique in the NFL with the ability to bounce inside on pass rushing downs as a 3 tech. It's what I would do with the young man, but I fear that the Eagles front office doesn't see him like Brandon Graham. They see him like Malik Jackson, an interior defensive lineman with the upside and athleticism to play outside as a 5 technique if you need him to. That's basically what Malik Jackson was throughout his career. What's up, Isaiah? How you doing, buddy? You say, hit that like button, fam. Cox is washed. I think he's washed. It's all about the phrasing, Speedy Eagle, of how you're looking at it, right? You're still talking about a guy that can play football. I don't think he's washed in terms of he can't play football anymore. Fletch can still play football. But I don't think Fletcher Cox is that dominant force he was 5 years ago. And I do think, to get to other people's points, it might be time for Fletcher Cox to have a reduction in snaps and keep him more fresh throughout, the year, keep him more fresh throughout games. So that way, when he lands those one-on-ones, he's got, he's got it where he can actually eat and beat people. I don't know if the Eagles are going to do that, man. It's hard to do that, to take a guy off the field when he's got the kind of contract that Fletcher Cox has. That's your challenge. Big Moose said, hearing for the Texans job, it's down to Josh McCown, Gannon, and Brian Flores. Maybe. I have no clue, man. I absolutely have no idea, Big Moose. What's up, 2020? How you doing, buddy? Cree said, when drafting a player, should you go by talent, best fit, or a combination of both? I mean, I'll give you the generic answer, which is it's got to be a combination. But most teams have an evaluation on which they look at this, where it's a matter of talent and then fit, right? It's not just enough to say a guy is a fit for you. There's got to be a certain level of talent to the player. Now, I do think that there are some things that just like if a guy has really tight hips as a corner, you can't play him in man. He's just not going to be a man corner. You can't do that. So, I mean, there are some limitations to that when it comes to athleticism, but most of the time it's like a combo there, guys. I would argue that Jonathan Gannon getting head coaching consideration actually does us a favor and replacing him because we're going to garner a better candidate who's going to have aspiration. Exactly. Although I will say that Gannon was kind of a well-known commodity, you know what I mean, Sam, throughout the league. So, who knows, to be honest. Would you like if Brandon Graham could be a rotational guy? Yeah, of course, Speedy Eagle. I mean, I would love to have Brandon Graham back, and I would love to have Brandon Graham be a contributor, but I also think the Eagles need to be careful. Guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, you can't keep playing these dudes 90-some% of your snaps. That's not going to work. Like, these dudes are going to break down in this, the age they are right now. We've got to get better at that. What's up, Big Birds? How you doing, man? So, Gabe, would you like the Eagles to pursue Wink Martindale? That's the closest thing to JJ we'll get defensive coordinator-wise as far as blitzing. I don't know, man. I mean, here's the thing. Do I like Wink Martindale? Sure. But, we got to consider the fact that you got the guy has to have a relationship with your head coach. And that's the thing is, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know who Nick has relationships with. I could probably find out by looking through and seeing where he's coached and seeing who's around him. But, there's also those external factors where maybe you haven't worked with the guy directly, but you've been in the same room with guys that know him. So you got to know the connections. And that just takes a long time, guys. It takes a really long time to work through all that stuff, to go through the networking channels and see what's going on. What's up, Bobby Murphy? How you doing, buddy? He says, if I'm paying a defensive tackle $23 to $24 million per season, he better be wreaking havoc like Aaron Donald does. But then again, not many guys are Donald. I get that. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Bobby, I think that's the main problem we're dealing with here, right? It's the valuation of the contract. I think we all recognize you have to reduce the snaps here. You've got to take snaps off this guy. He cannot be at this stage taking 90% of your snaps. But at the same time, the contract makes it conflictual to do that because you are paying this dude a tremendous amount of money. What's up, Jalen? He says, Jordan Davis and Dontari Poe are very similar. Jordan has a better motor, but Poe might have been stronger. I like that. Cree said, I remember Anthony Rush. Wasn't he undrafted out of UAB? I believe so, Cree. Cree said, according to Georgia's website, Jordan Davis is 6'6", 340 pounds. Another thing that's concerning about Jordan Davis is like, and I'd have to ask Jalen and Caleb and a few guys that play the line. My personal belief is when you play inside and you're really tall and long, it might be easy to get pad level on. You got to be, mind you, it doesn't matter if you get pad level. Dude's just freakily strong. Like, it ain't gonna matter. But you get what I'm saying. Is there a possibility of some embellishment? Should we wait until the NFL takes his measurements? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take a guess he's 6'5" something. You know what I mean? In terms of the weight, that's been the concern with Jordan Davis, is that his weight might be not favorable for NFL organizations. I can tell if he comes in at like 340, they're going to want him to come down a little bit. I'd have to ask Jalen where he thinks they'd want him. My guess is they're going to want him at least 330 pounds. But I don't know if Jalen would have a better idea of that kind of stuff, man. Jalen, that's funny, bro. He says, also, for your information, football is like 70% hips, 30% everything else. Hips aren't just movements. It's the difference between strong and powerful. Good take there, Jalen. Good take. You're right. Even at quarterback play. You want to know why a guy can really zip the football? Look at his hips. Leal is only 21. Yeah, he's youngin'. He's a youngin', Matt Hatter. No doubt about it. 2020 said, if Cox isn't injured this season, the way he was subpar, then Cox has gone from a player we couldn't afford to lose on defense to a guy we can't afford to keep. Yeah, it's a nice play on words, 2020, and you probably got a point there. Unfortunately, though, I don't. We'd have to really look at the contract. I mean, I'll take a look maybe this afternoon. If I get some time, I'll take a look this afternoon and I'll analyze Fletcher Cox's contract, and we can talk further in a separate video. I'll make a video for you guys. Jordan Davis is off the field a lot. He seems to be a two-down player. I didn't see him collapse pockets, but he closes like a dog. He attacks if the ball carrier closes. Yeah, he's more of a zero tag. He's a nose, guys. He's a nose tackle. He's not going to give you incredible amounts of pass rush ability. On occasion, can he really beat a dude because he's just stronger? Sure. But Jet's really a guy that I would look to more so like, what can you do in terms of your run stops? What can you do behind the line of scrimmage that's not necessarily sack related? You know what I mean? Solo Eagles dad, what's good, buddy? He said, what do you feel about DeMarvin Leal? Incredibly athletic. Really, really athletic young man. I don't know what his measurables are going to come in at. I'm really excited to see how he performs at his pro days. And if I don't know if there's going to be a scouting combine, to be honest, guys. But if there is a scouting combine, I think that's going to be important. But, we'll have to see where those things come in. But he's got a really good initial pass rush. He's very fast off the line, guys. No doubt about it. Shonoff said, I've been saying that since the beginning of the season. Milton Williams should be getting 50% of Barnett's snaps. It just made sense. You were in on it early, sir. What's up, Unspoken Words? He said, wow, that's a short list. If Gannon stays, we need that nose. We need that Boulder. We got his backup, but we need that starter. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is I don't know what to make of Marlon Tuipulotu. And like I said, Jalen pointed some things out about him on film to me that is concerning. I'm not saying the guy can't get better, but it is concerning the last game of the year. I don't remember him being active or playing. That shocked the crap out of me. Like, hey, man, we spent a draft pick on this dude. You kept him on the roster the whole season. We finally get a chance to see where he is. He didn't play. What is going on here? Like, I don't know. I have no clue, guys. That's concerning as crap to me. What's up, Solo? He said, can't keep both Cox and Graham. One to me has to go. I don't know, man. I don't know how they're going to structure things. I can't really say if they can or can't monetarily, Eagle Solo, but you got to have those backup plans. I will say this, Solo. If you watch what they do in free agency, if you watch what they do in the draft, you know what I mean? We know what their intentions will be shown, right? It's kind of like don't listen to what they say, but watch what they do kind of ordeal there. What's up, Cree? He said, I only asked about talent versus fit because I always hear how he's talking about fit. He said that Jalen Reagor was a better fit than Justin Jefferson. That's what the coaching staff told him. He's trying to use that as a cop-out, to be honest, guys. That's what the coaching staff told him because he was told that Justin Jefferson was only going to be a slot in our offense, which was really stupid to say because Justin Jefferson, if you watch the film, was clearly getting separation, whether he was in the slot, whether he was on the outside. He was just beating guys, and he was such a nuanced route runner. But I understand what he was trying to say. But, I mean, your coaches were wrong. That was the coach that told him that, and they were wrong. What's up, Andrew? How you doing, buddy? He said, with Brooks' retirement and the possibility of the Eagles losing a defensive end in free agency, do you think the Eagles will use at least 3 first-round draft choices or try to defer one until next year? I don't know that they're going to try to use 3 first-round picks. They have them, so it's a possibility. I do still think that there's a part of me that feels like it's very unlikely they're honestly going to use all 3. It's not that I prefer them to or not to, guys. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I know this front office, and that seems like a stretch to me that they would use all 3. With that said, it takes 2 to tango, and if nobody's willing to trade you, you know what I mean? Like, you got to have an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, or a quarterback that another team's willing to come up and go get. Those are normally the 3 position groups, especially tackle, when I say offensive line. A tackle, an edge rusher, when I say defensive lineman, or a quarterback. Those are the 3 coveted positions. That's what it would take to get backwards to 23 picks or to move back further inside of this draft in 22. It's hard to say, man. I mean, would I like to keep acquiring more picks and get more opportunities at, say we trade back, and because we trade back, we gain, an extra top 100 pick by doing that? Sure. I mean, that would be great because I think this team is – I think this team's having issues, man. I think it's got a ways to go, guys. I think that this team is clearly not in the top 6 teams right now, to be honest with you. I think there's 6 teams in the NFL that are up here, and I think everybody else is way down there. The Eagles are part of that group that's way down there, and they got to get better. The talent on this roster's got to get better. What's up, Corey? How you doing, buddy? He said it's all about the later rounds, I feel. That's fair. Red Eagle said Travis Jones is a monster. If he falls to the 3rd round, we've got to get him. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to play the value game. And if Travis Jones is there in our 3rd round pick, I would run to the podium too, Red Eagle. I feel like Travis Jones is going to be a good football player. I know that we can nitpick the fact that he played at UConn, and I know that we can make the nuanced argument about, like, what do you know about the level of competition there, Steve? I get it, but the dude dominated it, and he's exactly what we're looking for. He's a nose tackle that not only is he nose, but he gets pressure. So you got the best of both worlds. He can defend the run for you. He's got the size. But to where Jordan Davis is just imposing physically, this guy is not only physical, he's got the ability to give you that pass rush. What's up, Romy One More? How you doing, buddy? He said, what do you think about Marvin Wilson? I believe they called him up for the final game against Dallas. I think he took some snaps. I know that coming out of college, Marvin Wilson was definitely coveted. I think you could say that the fact that they gave him a futures contract and they did not give – I don't think they gave Raekwon Williams a futures contract, right? And to end the season, they decided to play Marvin Wilson, and they did not play Marlon Tuipulotu. So you can make the argument that maybe they're going to give him a look as the backup nose tackle. Maybe it's going to be a competition between Marvin Wilson and a competition between Marley Tuipulotu, and they're going to move on from Hassan Ridgeway. I'll be honest, I still think Hassan Ridgeway is better than both of those guys. But, Marvin Wilson did have some real fanfare behind him. Like, he honestly, was a really good football player for a while. So, I mean, didn't really work himself out in the pros per se. He's a little bit of an older prospect. He's not like he's not like one of these 22, 23-year-olds, to be honest. But we'll have to see where it lands in terms of where he is. I'm sorry, I'm confusing Marvin Wilson, guys. That's not a true statement about Marvin Wilson. Marvin Wilson's not as old as I just made him sound. I was confusing the defensive end we just signed. The defensive end we had at the back end of the year is not Malview's not like a young guy. Sorry, guys, I mixed those two up for a second. But yeah, you're gonna have to. I would assume they're gonna have Marvin Wilson and have Marlon Tuipulotu compete against one another. What's up, Sam? Sam said, seeing the same thing about Houston, McCown, Gannon, and Flores. I think it's going to be McCown. You don't interview a guy who has gained 0 coaching experience 2 seasons in a row for no reason. Josh McCown's a good coach, man. I know Josh McCown. He actually coached out here. He coached out by Charlotte. There's a lot of talent out in Charlotte, guys. He's a really good coach, man. He knows what he's doing. Head coach, don't know, man. Don't know. I have no clue. Hard to say, guys. It's really, really difficult to say, guys. I will say a lot of high school is the way that they pick their head coaches. There's some politics involved to that stuff, guys. It's not always the best person is your head coach. What's up, Michael? He said, what would be your dream coaching hire for this offseason besides yourself? Now, I don't really the grind of coaching professionally, Michael, I'm not too sure I'd want to do it. That's a great question. That's a really great question. So here's the thing. I think somebody raised this question, and I think it's worth talking about today. We assume we have our offensive coordinator returning because we haven't heard anything, right, that would indicate otherwise yet. But if a job opens up underneath the defensive guy, and he's going to allow them to have play calling, so say Jonathan Gannon gets a job, or say Brian Flores gets a job, say somebody else gets a job that has a connection somehow, some way back to Shane Steichen, and they offer him play calling again, he might be gone. He might definitely be gone, and then you're really stuck with the situation of figuring out who do you bring in that may not want play calling duties, but wants the title of offensive coordinator. And I think that's a tough place to be in. Brian Johnson has served that role in college. He's done it before having play calling duties, and then I believe he did have some element of play calling duties at Florida for a little bit. He wasn't the main play caller, though. He's a quarterback coach. Kevin Patullo is pretty close. So if you're going to keep Aaron Moorhead for a 3rd season at wide receiver coach, I mean, Kevin Patullo is your passing game coordinator. Maybe you can slide him in as the de facto, offensive coordinator if that happens. That's a tough question, dude. That's a really tough question, Michael. Defensively, man, I mean, look, I'm a Vic Fangio guy. I don't know that we got the personnel to run what he wants to do. But Vic Fangio just seems like a guy who's smart enough to figure out how to build a system that nobody else has seen him run before that would fit the personnel he's got on staff and would be fine. I don't think that he's like one of these guys that's just like, this is what I run. and this is only what I run. Like I feel like he's got the experience where he'd be good, man. Corey Little says, do you think there will be a quarterback to compete with Jalen Hurts this offseason if we don't get a big name at quarterback? Corey, it's hard to say, man. I felt like the media missed an opportunity to discuss the conversation the coaching staff and the front office is having, with Gardner Minshew. I mean, I don't understand why that was missed. You should have asked the question. Garner went in and asked for an opportunity to become the starting quarterback. I would have asked the natural question: What did you tell Garner Minshew in that meeting about 2022? Is Jalen just a de facto starter, or is that how it's working this year? Like, I feel like they could have gotten clarification they did not receive. Do I expect Garner to beat out Jalen? No, I don't, guys. I think Jalen is going to win that. Might they draft a guy in the second or third round? This is Philadelphia, man. You can never say never, right? Do I think that's the smartest move in the world? No, I don't. I just think you got too many holes to fill, man. Like, I just think there's too much going on with your roster right now. Do I think that this organization is going to be sniffing around Russell Wilson? It's going to be sniffing around Deshaun Watson and Derek Carr and all these guys? Probably. Probably, Corey. They probably will. Do I think anything's going to come of it? Probably not, because I think the cost is going to be too expensive. I just think it's going to cost you too much in draft capital. And then you got to think of the fact that you bring in a quarterback. Now, why his salary, a lot of people will just look at the salary cap figure and say, man, he's going to cost us this much. No, not exactly. Like, a lot of that salary cap is tied up in prorated money and other things that we don't have to pay. But obviously those quarterbacks are still going to cost you a lot more than Jalen Hurts. So you're taking away from that cap space you just created to bring that guy in. That may affect what you can build around him. So you're losing draft picks and you're losing cap space. And the only thing you've upgraded was one position group. You better be really right. You know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of that because I think you can make a huge mistake there. What's up, Jeremiah? He says, bye, big man. Andrew said, in your opinion, is the draft deep in offense and defensive line talent, or does it drop off significantly after the first round? Defensive line talent, I think, is really, really talented this draft, Andrew. I think there's edge rusher in particular. I think there's some really good value out there. I definitely think that this is the draft that you go after a defensive end. Now, offensive line, I think, is more complex. I think there's like 4 or 5 guys that look like are probably starters in the league early in their career. Maybe not necessarily day one, guys, but early in their career, they're going to be starters. Then I think there's this grouping of about 7 to 8 guys, maybe 10. I'll go as far as 10 that have potential, really strong backups that could potentially become something as a starter. There's the young man that played at Georgia. Allie just wrote an article. It's on our website, guys. I'll link all that stuff down below. But Allie wrote an article about this young man on our website where she talked about the young man from Georgia that played center early on in his, like, he played a handful of snaps at center in his freshman and sophomore year. And then between his junior and senior year, he played left tackle, left guard, right tackle. The guy literally played all 5 alignments along the offensive line. Guys like that, if you can find them, he's a good sized dude, 6'4", 335-ish, I want to say. You should covet those type of players. You should absolutely covet those type of players in the later rounds, mid-rounds to later rounds. Don't hate on UConn, laugh out loud. I'm not hating on them. I'm just, it's not as easy to judge them or grade them as like the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC. I really wish that UConn and some of these other schools got involved in those other conferences where you get more. Cincinnati, UConn, some of these guys like that. 2020 says 60 people in early, 20 likes. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. What's up, Jeremiah? How you doing, buddy? Cree said, Eagles Nation, it doesn't cost anything to smash that like button. Let's show Gate that we appreciate his daily informative content. Thank you, guys. I thank you all so much. By the way, I really appreciate you guys who started purchasing the actual the journal I built for you guys, the quarterback tracking journal. I noticed there were some sales on that, man. Thank you, guys. It's linked down below if you guys want to check that out. It's 120 pages. There's over 100 pages that's worth that's simply just the tracking page. So I go over things like trying to get you guys to identify your play side versus your back side, understanding your concepts such as your field side versus the boundary side. We talk about the drops, 1, 3, 5, 7 step drops, I give you guys a bunch of little stuff in there to track quarterback play to get better at seeing that stuff, even on TV copies. There's some things you can't see on TV copies. So I didn't put it in there because you need a Game Pass account, guys. Go get you a Game Pass account if you want to get deeper. You can't really look coverage over too well on a TV copy, but you can on Game Pass, guys. But yeah, if you guys want that, man, it's linked down below. Thank you guys so much that bought that, man. I'm very honored that you guys think that highly of me, man. I appreciate you guys. Antonio Holmes said Florida State Jermaine Johnson is the one I want. Me too, Antonio. I like him a lot, man. I think there's a lot of upside. I think he's got a lot of upside. Yo, what's up, Gate? Give me Tyler Lindenbaum, Nakobe Dean, and Trayvon Walker, or another high ceiling pass rusher. I like Trayvon Walker as well, actually. There's a few guys in this draft class I like. Jermaine Johnson, I think, is the guy that's climbed the most on my board personally. But Trayvon Walker is pretty good too. I kind of covered this yesterday, guys. If you want to look at what I said about pass rushers. And tomorrow I'm going to come back. I'm going to do a 5th live stream. So I know I normally do Monday through Thursday, but this week I am going to go Monday through Friday because we need to talk about the secondary. We need to talk about cornerbacks. Gate City, do we need at least a competitive camp at quarterback? Hurts isn't fragile. I don't think it hurts you. I mean, you got to be very clear in what you're communicating with Jalen Hurts. That's the thing, right? Like, you need to make sure that young man has a game plan to improve in the offseason. The other thing that I'm worried about, guys, is the fact that he's coming back from a surgery. And I think he's going to have surgery on that leg. I'm making an assumption there, so check into that, guys. But, you know, he damaged, I think, ligaments, didn't he? So we got to see if he's, you know, how much work he can do. He can certainly put in time in the film room. He can put time in the film room. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, I've said it more than once, guys, is that we can talk about the deep ball and that throwing base is awful on the deep ball, and he does got to get better at that. But I would say that the thing that needs to be worked on more than that is learning how to play in rhythm with the offense. He needs to learn, just like Josh Allen had to do it. It took Josh Allen 3 years to get there. He needs to learn how, when he hits that rhythm step, you've got to trust your receivers. You've got to read the leverage of coverage correctly. You've got to get that football out of your hands. I don't know where he's going to go to get that, guys. I mean, yes, Palmer does specialize in that, but he's been working with Quincy Avery. My opinion is any professional quarterback coach knows how to do these things. It's not like one guy has no clue how to like work getting a quarterback in rhythm. Like, you just need to work with your guy, and you need to go through the process of doing it. What's up, Roland? How you doing, buddy? He said Hargrave in the Pro Bowl. Temple University Owls football. Andrew, so what is your opinion of Driscoll at right guard? He looked solid this year until his injury. That'd be my takeaway point, Andrew. I think he's a good football player. I do. When he's in games, he's good. He had a couple of really good games where he was pulling, and he was the highest graded run blocker. The problem is 2 straight years in a row he's been injured. He's got to stay healthy, man. We need him on the field. We absolutely need him on the field. And I don't know what's going on there, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think that I would be comfortable with him just because he hasn't completed an entire season yet. You know what I mean, Andrew? Like, I think the talent's there. I think if that guy's your 6th lineman, that's a heck of a 6th lineman. But you got Isaac Seumalo, who also hasn't been healthy, who can come in and compete with Jack Driscoll, who also hasn't been healthy. That's why I don't rule out them taking an offensive lineman. I really don't rule that out at all. How did you pull that off? Are you guys talking about how did I publish a book? I'm going to start a second channel, guys, for you young content creators, the guys that you guys are aspiring to be content creators. And I'll explain how I do some of this stuff. You guys are into like getting published and all that. In today's world, it's far easier to be published than you think. But I'll walk you guys through that. I don't want to do that here just because, you know, some people might not have any interest of ever being published. They may not care 2 craps about that. But if you guys are interested in that, I'll get to work, guys, because I've been telling you I'm going to do that for a while. But I'll make that spin-off channel for you, and we'll get into the weeds of like how you do that, guys. Jeremiah said, I was just going to ask if you'd pursue J.C. Jackson or draft or another option. Everything. So here's the thing. Jeremiah, is J.C. Jackson a baller? Yes, he is. That's a good corner. Everything is a cost evaluation. top tier corners are going to cost you a ton of money. They really are. If you sign a corner like J.C. Jackson, you're not going to have a lot of money left in the cupboard. You're just not. I think the smarter play is to draft somebody, although J.C. Jackson is really good. And he certainly would give you a heck of a combination between J.C. Jackson and Darius Slay. There would be a lot of known there. You would have some answers. But I still think the better play is to draft a guy, get him on that rookie contract, and make your way with that. Antonio said, everybody, don't be shocked if Howie drafts a quarterback. Nobody saw Hurts coming with all those players. We won it was there. Hey, Antonio, to be real with you, Mike had an insider in the 2020 draft, and Mike had texted Reese and myself that we were taking Jalen Hurts like 3 picks before the Eagles picked. So we sat there in that live stream trying not to tip you guys off that what the pick was going to be, while at the same time having a complete and utter confusion on our face as into, what are we doing? Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, we all three of us were just kind of sitting there like, what is this? Like, I like the player, but what are they thinking here? Jeremiah said, I wouldn't be shocked if Howie drafted a quarterback unless it was a 3rd round or earlier. Chris said, let me know when you start your 2nd channel, brother. Yeah, no problem, guys. Like, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to teach you guys all this stuff about, like, I'll give you guys a full look behind the scenes of how you do this stuff. I know a lot of you guys are very interested in, like, the whole sports media company thing and how I did that. Like, you know, I'll teach you guys some HTML if you guys really want to learn how to make websites and stuff. You only need to know a handful of tricks in today's world to make a website. It's really not that difficult anymore. It's very easy. What's up, NFC East Beast? How you doing, buddy? Says late, but yard is cleaned up. Wow, it's cold. I went to decipher Philly Mike's book. Unspoken Word said, I forgot about his ankle. If he's going to have surgery, it should have been yesterday. He has talent. He needs that work. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't, like I said, I mean, not every injury like that requires surgery. So, you know, I do want to say, like, I should probably pump the brakes a little bit on that because that's a big assumption to make that I just did there. But, you know, I was under the impression originally that it was going to require surgery, but maybe I was wrong, man. Antonio said I was on that live. I remember. Yeah, man, I was just that. It took the wind out of the place. It took the wind out of everybody, man. I remember that. We all were just kind of sitting there like, what just happened? 2020 said Hurts needs a big body receiver, in my opinion. He just seemed more comfortable passing to Goddard, even in double coverage. Yeah, I definitely kind of agree with that perspective that we need that guy. We need a guy that can erase mistakes, right? Every quarterback misses with location. It happens. You got a guy that can make you correct, right? Jalen and Caleb kept talking about this aspect with the running backs where he said, you need running backs that can make the offensive line correct even when it's not. You need receivers that can make the quarterback's ball placement correct even when it's not, right? Same kind of ordeal there. I agree with that perspective, 2020. If a Riddler falls, I'd take him, but that's if. If not, I'd look for Tyler Shaw out of Texas Tech. That's the big kid. I remember you telling me about him. He's a really big dude, 6'5"-ish, like 220. He's a big guy. You can tell on film he's a big guy. I see a lot of Josh Allen type of potential in him. Do you think he's got a Josh Allen arm? I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't, show enough. It's hard to judge that stuff, you know, solely based upon a couple of clips there. It's really hard to get really, really good film of young men at this time. Like, it's just difficult. Pause. That was a really bad way of saying that. It's difficult to get college film. Let me just say that for this. You got to write for permission and all that stuff, but it's definitely difficult. And I can't tell because I need to see him throw the ball on that far hash. I need a timing route on the far hash. He said, sorry, man. He said, do you really believe that we have shown enough? I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes, like, when it's on the phone, like, the print is really small, guys. That's why I'm, like, leaning in like I'm 90 years old. For top-tier free agents to really want to come here, I mean, it's Philly, not South Beach. I actually think we did. I think we did. I mean, OBJ just kind of put it out there, right? OBJ put it out there that he wouldn't mind playing in Philadelphia. I do think that teams see that this offensive line is a force to be reckoned with. People may not be that high on Jalen Hurts. I get it. Everyone's going to have their opinion, but I do think that if you look at it from the real perspective here, you got 2 young quarterbacks on rookie contracts, and the one young man already put you in the playoffs. He's only going to get better. He's not going to get worse. So, I mean, I honestly think that I do think there will be interest in Philadelphia. Now, where you're going to spend money, I mean, look, we got cap space, guys, but we're not going to be top spenders at every single position group. You're not going to get the best safety. You're not going to get the best corner and the best wide receiver. Like, that's impossible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to work out. You got to find the value in some of these guys. What's up, Andrew? You said, it just goes to show you that when a team has their eye on a player and they feel they should reach now or lose out later, they will and should pull the trigger. Yeah, I mean, teams are funky when it comes to the draft, right? They do some crazy things at times. You know, they really are a little strange and a little weird when it comes to the NFL draft. It's definitely been an adventure with this team in particular with the NFL draft. All right, guys, we're going on an hour and 12 minutes. I'll hang around for a few more minutes to answer questions, but I want to get you guys a video for this afternoon. I got to do some more things in terms of, Ultra game to get some stuff out for them. And then I got to do some stuff in terms of the website and articles, guys. Just so y'all know, if you guys want to, merch, that's all linked below, guys. You go get your Gate City coffee mug. Articles, if you guys want free content, articles, guys. There's articles up on the website. Just go to the website. You'll see the website's linked below. We just published something this morning, guys. We just published it this morning. Allie did. She broke down the options at tackle, both on our roster, in free agency, and during the draft with high draft grades and some mid-tier draft grades. So if you guys want to take a look at that article, it is up. Show Enough said, wouldn't be surprised if OBJ came here. Thought it'd be sooner after seeing him post himself in an Eagles gear. However, like Steve said, you're only going to get one big-time guy out of free agent. Exactly, yeah. It's kind of hard to think you're going to get every single guy. This is a little off subject, but would you draft Justin Ross or Charleston Rambo if they were both there for you? Charleston Rambo, I haven't done enough film study on. There was a time where Justin Ross looked like he was going to be a solidified first-round pick. I'm interested to see what happened with Justin Ross. I don't have the answer for you, Michael, but I'll give you an answer by next week. You'll have an answer by next week about what I think about this wide receiver class. Because the offense is coming next week, guys. You already know the build up next week's going to be. We're going to end with the way we're ending with cornerbacks this week. I'm going to build up to end with quarterbacks next week. So just so you guys know it's coming. It's going to be that process of things. NFC East Beast said, tongue twister there. NFC East Beast said, wouldn't a long corner like Elam fit our scheme? I don't even know what our scheme is going to be right now, NFC East Beast, but I get what you're saying. I think he fights back to the football well. I like the way he fights back to the football. I think he's very athletic. I do think that he's got that kind of range that you're talking about, right? Those long arms that he can get in there and he can break passes up. He's probably going to be a pretty good PBU guy at the NFL level. Yeah, I mean, I definitely get where you're going. I like Elam a lot. Drew said OBJ may be looking at the cap space. Well, I mean, I think a lot of them are. You know what I'm saying? They're all going to look at cap space. They're also looking at opportunity, Drew. You know what I mean? They're going to look to see what team gives me the opportunity to either be a bona fide number one or a number two where I'm going to get a certain amount of targets, right? That they're also looking at that because if he stays with a team like the Rams, it's probably their third best target at best. And he might be their fourth target because they got a good tight end there. So, I mean, you look at a guy like that, you know what I'm saying? Philly is appealing to those type of people. It's all in the circumstance, right? I can understand what Kai, I'm still saying it wrong, man. Kaivo was saying about how you look at guys like Calvin Ridley, where we rumored about, right? You look at some of the real, like Devontae Adams, and you look at Michael Thomas. Like those guys probably are not going to look to Philly with a lot of obviously there's some elements that can't be controlled if you're being traded, but if you're a free agent, you kind of have your pick, and I don't know that Philly would be high on that list. I definitely get what he's saying there. I mean, that part of what he's saying, I completely agree with him. But I do think guys like OBJ, I think guys like Mike Williams, I think guys like, DJ Shark, they're going to look at this as an opportunity to get targets. You know what I mean? What's up, buddy? He said, what do you think about Treylon Burks? Really good yak guy. Surprisingly good yak player. Gets a lot of yards after the catch. He's for a big dude, 6'3", 6'2", 225-ish, very fluid in the hips. He's very good at separating at the top of the route stem. He's better than I thought he would be at that size. Those guys normally don't have the ability, the hip fluidity, to sink their hips like that at the top of the route stem and create separation. And he has that ability. So, I mean, he's an intriguing guy. I think that he could be one of those players that immediately causes problems for the defense. Andrew said, I have no problem with the Eagles signing OBJ as long as he leaves his crazy attitude behind. I hear you, bro. I hear you. Lit City said, low signal in the building, but what's up, Philly fan? Y'all have a blessed Thursday. Fly, Eagles, fly. Appreciate you, Lit City. Thank you, buddy. All right, guys, I'm about to sign off out of here. I got another video coming for y'all this afternoon. Thank you guys so much. All right, man. Hopefully this serves you guys' purpose for that morning coffee, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, too. So video this evening, and then we're going to do a video tomorrow, guys. Oh, Gambling Hippie, my guy just came in. Let me get his comment, though. Isn't Miles Sanders' contract coming up? Do you see us getting a running back in like the 3rd or 4th round? Hey, Gambling Hippie, next week, man. I don't want to give it away. Next week. We're kicking off Monday. Monday is kicking off with that, man. I've wanted Odell as an Eagle since 2016. Appreciate you, Blaze. See you guys later, man. Let me go for you guys. Keep me here.